What's up people, hope you're having an awesome day. I'm your host Ayman Hasan and welcome back to another video here at Most Amazing Top 10. Now I'm honestly just a sucker for backstories. I love me a cheeky backstory and I feel like stories are just neater and more detailed that way, and thankfully most paintings come with backstories, whether that's of the artist themselves or the inspiration behind the painting. But I do have to clarify something when I talk about paintings you shouldn't see and the effect of them. These effects can only really harm you if you look at the painting in real life. Showing you the painting digitally does nothing, so you're in safe hands, don't worry. So now that my lecture is over, class is in session, and this is the top 10 scary cursed paintings you should never see part 2. Starting us off with number 10 is Madame LALAURIE. Honestly, this hoe finds herself in every video, I swear to god. But anyway, we should all know who she is by now, the New Orleans socialite that tortured and mutilated almost all of her slaves. Well, long after Delphine fled her mansion on Royal Street sometime in the 70s, major renovations were underway to turn it into luxury apartments. In 1997, the new owners thought it would be a great idea to get a portrait made of Madame LALAURIE because she was such a wonderful person, why not remember her forever? Not. Once the painting was placed inside the building, everything started going wrong. Many believe a certain darkness attached itself to the painting, or perhaps it was the dark soul of the woman herself. The painting would move on the wall by itself, it would rock so much that the canvas would free itself from the frame. People living there said they felt unnerved anytime they were near the portrait, and almost all of them used to hear echoes of voices, cold touches on their skin, and the smell of smoke. Just a side note, the reason Madame LALAURIE fled is because her mansion had a huge house fire, so that's where the smell of smoke makes sense here. Residents had items go missing, one even said the painting talked to her, and footsteps would follow her around her apartment. Clothes would get bundled in the fireplace but not burn, carpenters would see a grey lady appear out of nowhere. After countless paranormal reports, the owners finally returned the portrait to the original artist. Coming in at number 9 is Ivan the Terrible and his son Ivan. Painted in 1885 by Ilya Repin, a Russian realist painter, he was known as a mystical artist, and honestly I'd say hella cursed artist, not mystical. After painting the piece, Ilya was constantly tired and his right arm couldn't paint anymore. He fell into deep depression, but he had to learn how to paint with his left hand instead. Just to clarify, the painting itself depicts fiction, the scene never took place. Russian icon painter Abram Balashov saw the painting for the first time and launched into a hysterical frenzy. He cut the painting with a knife multiple times, saying stop the bloodshed, and afterwards he was admitted to a psychiatric hospital, despite having no signs of a mental illness before looking at the picture. But the curse isn't just tied to the painting, it's tied to Ilya himself. His subjects are said to die after he paints them, take the barge haulers on the Volga. Many healthy men in that painting all died after it was completed. Other subjects like Mussorgsky, Pirogov, actor Mercy Darz-Hanto all died after being painted as well. That's just way too many people to be a coincidence. I feel like it's 100% not. The artist himself ended up dying after doing a painting called A Man with an Evil Eye, which was of his cousin who was a known wizard in his town. It's said he died because of his relative. At number 8 we have The Suicide Girl. The artist of this painting is unknown, but she was a Korean teenager living in Japan. It's said she drew the picture and posted it online shortly before committing suicide. When the story broke out, it spread like wildfire, and hundreds of Korean forums started saying the picture was cursed by the soul of the artist. The blue eyes of the girl draw you in, and within them you see this sadness. Some say the artist herself had so much sadness it cursed the picture, and others say she painted her sadness into the painting and that's why it evokes sadness in whoever's looking at it. But no matter what, no one can stare into her eyes for more than 5 minutes. There have been reports of people having committed suicide after doing so, and honestly even me looking at it online, there was something about her eyes that just drew me in. Maybe it was just me being psychological, I don't know. Others also say the picture changes as you look at it and that her eye bags get darker or her lips curve into a taunting smile. Filling our number 7 slot is Mrs. Bell. Now that's not the real name of the painting, but it was painted by Cyril Roberts. The story goes that Hill House, the mansion belonging to Alan Smith, was plagued with the sightings of a pale Edwardian figure accompanied by the music of Chopin. Anyone who unfortunately witnessed her ran for the hills because seeing a ghost is bad enough, but seeing one with an eerie soundtrack is even worse. Many people saw her floating around surrounded by a blue haze. At points she would just be standing at the foot of Alan's bed. Weirdly enough, the owner of a local junk shop approached Alan saying she had something for him that should be returned to its rightful home. When he looked at what she had given him, he recognized it straight away. It was a portrait of a woman playing the piano, which basically matched the apparition he had seen around his home. After doing some research, he found that Mrs. Bell was the wife of an Argentine beef rancher, and they both lived in one of the bedrooms at Hill House in the early 1900s. She was a very cultured woman, but tragedy hit her when she went bankrupt and was forced to sell all her possessions, including the portrait. But now that the portrait is back in the house, the curse and the haunting has stopped altogether, and they lived happily ever after. The end of video. Now at number 6 is the unknown painting. While the title is unknown, the artist is the famous Yuko Tatsushima. Yuko is an artist and performer, yet her talents lend themselves quite well to paranormal and supernatural purposes. Most of her work is provocative and just quite unsettling to look at. The particular picture I'm talking about depicts a black and red scratched background with a woman, I want to say woman, but really it's more of a thing, in the middle. The eyes are massive, they're not human-like, and its neck is quite long. There's nothing really sinister about the painting despite it being creepy. The thing is smiling, right? There's that. But I don't know if that's a smiling through the pain smile or I'm gonna kill you smile. The painting is quite cursed, and that's also a well-known fact. It's meant to induce feelings of suicide on those who look at it. Coming in at number 5 is the Lady Ossington. Viscountess Ossington built the Coffee Palace located on Beastmarket Hill back in 1882. She built it for the good of society, and it was aimed at travellers who wanted a place to stay without the temptation of alcohol on the premise. Lady Ossington managed the establishment till her death and was meant to be succeeded by her trustees, who would continue her crusade against the demon drink. Honestly, I feel like she probably got way too drunk one night and was like, I'm never drinking again, ended up being the only person in the world ever actually sticking to that. But anyway, moving on, by the 60s, a court decided the Coffee Palace wasn't as charitable as advertised, since Lady Ossington's heirs were the real beneficiaries of the Coffee Palace, so they were like, that's not on, and sold the place. Inside the Coffee Palace, however, hung an oil portrait of Lady Ossington herself, which many believe is cursed and haunted by the woman. It's said that after the place was sold, the portrait started flying off the wall, mimicking Lady Ossington's disgust over what happened to her business. At number 4 is Pogo the Clown. John Wayne Gacy, the serial killer and rapist who himself dressed up as clowns and performed at events and children's parties, painted this piece while he was on death row. People even called him Pogo the Clown, so many people believe his spirit still haunts the painting because bad things have happened to every single person that owned it. Musician Nicky Stone bought the painting but got rid of it nearly just as fast because after it entered his house, his dog died and his mother was diagnosed with cancer. It could purely be coincidental, but it could also totally not be. Even Johnny Depp bought the painting but somehow contracted a severe pathological phobia of clowns and ditched the painting as well. May I just add, why would you want to buy the painting done by a serial killer anyway? Why even bring that into your house? There's no need. There's no need. Filling our number 3 slot is ROKEBY Venus. Painted by Diego Velázquez between 1647 and 1651, the painting shows the goddess Venus lying on a settee with her bare body back to us. She's looking into a mirror held by her son Cupid. Despite the photo being well lit, the reflection of Venus in the mirror is dark and troubled, and she looks super pale. Paler than herself, not her reflection, if that makes sense. Most of the owners of the painting were killed or became majorly in debt. It never stayed at a museum for too long, and it just hopped from place to place. The worst incident was in March of 1914 when Mary Richardson attacked the painting with a meat cleaver, leaving extremely deep damaging rips all across her neck and back. Despite claiming it was a statement on behalf of the suffragette movement, many debate that and think the painting itself caused something inside of her to snap. Now at number 2 is The Witch Girl. This portrait of a young girl came from Casa de Green and was bought by a Spanish father who saw it and was instantly mesmerized by it, saying he couldn't take his eyes off her and the girl couldn't take her eyes off him either. She literally couldn't take her eyes off him. He even claimed the eyes of the girl followed him around the room until he gave in and bought her. When he finally brought the painting home, he found that at night he always found a grey silhouette on the side of the canvas. It was almost guarding the painting. Many believe the painting could have possibly belonged to Madame LALAURIE and that she was one of her slaves. The grey figure in front of the painting is the girl from the picture, protecting herself from any other atrocities regardless of her being dead or alive. Because honestly, let's face it, if she was Madame LALAURIE's slave in real life, that was an atrocity in and of itself. The father who bought the painting titled it The Witch Girl because her tears are falling at the exact same rate, which was too outlandish and otherworldly for him to conceive of, so he assumed she must have been a witch. And finally, at number 1 is The Faceless Women. Again, that's not the title of the painting, I just gave it the title based on what it is, but it was painted by Carrigan. Carrigan's an online user of feasters who mostly paints pieces involving Yuri-style bondegado, which is basically just a fancy term that means lesbian bondage. Now the painting depicts 4 girls, a blonde girl in the middle with a rope around her mouth and décolletage, and surrounding her are 3 other girls, with the one right behind her having her hand on the middle girl's head, whilst the other 2 on either side of her have one hand each on the middle girl's neck, kind of like a power move. But the creepy thing about the 3 women is that they have no faces. They have black hollows for eyes, but then no nose, no mouth, no nothing. It's like they're all wearing white masks almost. Carrigan made up a fictional story to go along with the painting, but many say they simply can't stand looking at it. There's something unnerving about it that irks everyone who sees it, which really makes no sense because it's not even based on a real person. I mean, there's no spirit or soul cursing it, and yet it's cursed. The artists themselves said they had trouble finishing the piece, citing feelings of anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and paranoia. But hey, at least you did it in the end. And there you have it, guys, another list of cursed paintings that we can happily see behind the safety of our computer screens. Let me know what you guys thought of each one, and as always, I'm your host Ayman Hasan, and I'll see you next time. Bye!